Hey now, I love beef. And when I found the sirloin tip roast on sale the other day, I figured, okay, I want to do something really cool with this for dinner. We're going to get the pit paws fired up and smoke it. I just want to get a nice rub on it first. So come along for the ride. So for my spice crust, I want a nice sort of base for it. And for that, I'm going to use mustard and Worcestershire sauce. So what I have here is a horseradish mustard. Now, you don't have to go anything quite as crazy as that on yours if you're doing a smoked roast. However, I think that since we've got this, we made up a whole bunch of this a while back, this is going to be a great option. And to that was probably about just over a quarter cup of that. I'm adding some Worcestershire sauce. This will be probably 2.5 tablespoons or so. You just want it until you have a little bit of a nice paste. Let's just go with a little bit more. If you're going just with the yellow prepared mustard, it'd be a little bit easier to do this, but because I have this chunky mustard, I have to add a little bit more of that liquid. Okay, perfect. Let's get that roast out. Now this roast is already nicely trussed up, which is perfect, and it's just under 3 pounds, the weight of this. I'm going to just take my mustard / Worcestershire sauce paste and get this on here, rub it all over. Nice grainy mustard would work really well for this here as well. But I'm a huge fan of horseradish, and yeah, I just couldn't wait to get this on here. Delightful. Now, I do want just a little bit more on this, so I'm also going to use just sort of like a Montreal steak spice blend here. This is honestly just like a prepackaged one from the store. It's got the pepper, it's got salt, it's got all that fun stuff in here. It's going to be delicious. Okay, I've got a nice coating on this here. I'm just going to let this sit for a couple of hours until I'm ready to actually cook. I'm going to be smoking this roast here on my Pit Boss 700 FB. I've got the insulated blanket on here. It's not wintertime and it's not super cold out, but it is fall. We've got some wind, and that really helps regulate the temperature just a little bit better and burn through fewer of these applewood pellets that I've got in the hopper here. So I've got the smoker at 250 degrees. I've got my nice little rack in here that I really like. This is just perfect because it goes right over top of this little pan. In this, I've got some water and some Worcestershire sauce, which is where that coloring is coming from. And that's just going to help keep it nice and humid as it cooks here. I'm just inserting my meter plus probe so that I can track the temperature of this meat really quite nicely as it cooks. All right, I'm going to close this up. I've got applewood chips going here, 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's go. So after 1 hour, here's our roast. We're sitting at an internal temperature of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see that water, that Worcestershire sauce water, is steaming away. It's beautiful. Let's let it keep going. So about 15 minutes after that, I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil here to that exterior. Just gonna pat that around. Sad little mop action here. There we are. Just over an hour and a half in, I'm turning the temperature up to 300 degrees here. This was telling me I had 45 minutes or so left in the cook, but I'd like to speed it up just a little bit, so there we go. After 2 hours, 20 minutes, we've hit 140 degrees internal temperature. I'm gonna pop this off. Woo! Okay, let's pop this off and get this inside to rest. Now, I gave this beef a nice chance to rest here. Had about 20 minutes. Ooh, you can see we got a little bit of that sweet meat juice coming up. I'm gonna have to add that to the gravy. So the nice thing about this is I just used my meter plus probe here, and the app actually told me when this was done resting. I could just go and putter around and make my potatoes and all that other stuff in the meantime. So I'm just licking my fingers clean here. Let's cut in. Now before I do that, this is also one of those parenting moments where you ask yourself, where did my children put my actual meat fork? I have zero idea. So I'm going to be forced just to use this regular fork. That sucks. All right, so slicing on in here. So I did take this to 140, which is a little bit higher than I would personally like it, but it is a bit of a compromise where my family will actually eat it. So that's how we go. There's 5 of them and 1 of me. So tough luck for me, I guess. Okay, we got to taste this. It's just beautiful. You know, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of sirloin steaks. I find that they tend to be just a little bit tough, but my goodness, with a roast, just cooked nice low and slow, it's so flavorful. And just coming around the outside edge here,
We've got that. The horseradish mustard is adding definitely a little horseradish kick to it. Super fantastic. The Montreal steak spice that's on there, again, tons of flavor going on. We've got some nice smoke penetration with that applewood character going on there. Super delightful. And at the same time, the beef is able to shine. So fantastic. Oh, one more thing. Got one more bite here before I actually dig in for the meal. This, I have a gravy that I made using some of my homemade beef bone broth as the base. So lots of flavor, absolutely fantastic. And a little bit more of that horseradish mustard. So, I gotta say, I wasn't entirely sure when I first heard about pellet grills and smokers. I wasn't sure what I was going to think about them, or if I was going to like them. And I'm like, well, we want hardwood or maybe even charcoal or something like that. But these pellets, super delightful. I love it. Amazing for these roasts, all other kinds of meats. So I'm just incredibly excited about this. So if you do have a pellet smoker or even just have access to one, go ahead, get your hands on a beef roast, fire it in there, get some mustard, some spices, just fire it up. I would maybe take it to 135 just because I think I'd like that to touch more. But anyway, really delightful, flavorful, and till next time, keep it at 11.